Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, viewer mail and Harry Houdini and the Epstein files coming at you right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show. Let's go to viewer mail and get to it right now. Pete Pastore of Lexington, Kentucky says, "Hey DB, did you watch the late game last night? What the hell is going on? Are these games fixed?" You know, I don't know how many of you realize that I have a pretty significant television sports background for an actor. I was on Fox's Best Damn Sports Show, period, where I was a co-host with, some pretty legendary guys. And I got to know a lot of coaches, a lot of players. I played in the Celebrity Golf Tour for, 15 years. So I got to meet a lot of big stars, Jordan, Barkley, this one, that one, you name it. I ran into them if they played golf. I played in the NBA Entertainment League, which the NBA has three leagues. It has the NBA, the WNBA, and the NBA Entertainment League. Not a big deal. It's not like we're pro basketball players or anything, but pretty famous, actors and rappers and singers and different people that could hoop, that were interested in hooping. And we played in a league out in Los Angeles. I had an ESPN show for a number of years. While I'm doing this, I'm still acting, but I was pretty into sports, to say the least. And I did watch the game, and I have to say a few things that jumped out at me because I know what happens in the booth too, not just on the field and so on. So let me point out a couple of things to Pete. Well, first of all, Derrick Henry, the running back for the Ravens. The Ravens played the New England Patriots. Derrick had, I think, a couple of touchdowns at least, and he had 130 yards rushing or something. The last two drives of the game, they have to score, and Derrick Henry didn't come on the field. A workhorse, one of the best running backs ever in the league. He's in the top 20 for sure. And he's on the sidelines, and when I looked up, what was the thinking behind that, Harbaugh, the coach of the Ravens, said, in hindsight, maybe I should have put him in. I was working a certain rotation. I'm thinking to myself, so you have one of the best quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and he's on the sidelines for a rotation of another guy who's okay, but he's not Derrick Henry, to win the game and try to get into the playoffs. So I found that struck me. And let me come back to that in a minute. What really struck me most about it. So now we look at, there was late in the fourth quarter. Now when a guy punts the ball, he kicks it to the other team to save field position. He doesn't want, they don't want to give him the ball too close to scoring, so they kick it down the field and give up possession of the ball. You can't hit the punter. The only time ever you can make contact with a punter, contact with him pretty much, is if you got blocked into him. If the referee thinks that someone hit you and knocked you into the punter. There was a no call, the referees didn't call, where the New England player, ran his helmet into the side, knocked the punter to the ground. Absolutely, and there's a guy back there watching just for that, a referee that goes, okay, let's make sure no one touches this punter. Because the punter has one leg on the ground and his other leg way up in the air after he kicks it. He's very susceptible to injury. They have to protect him. Career-ending injuries to his leg if they hit him, they run into him. No call. It was so ridiculously obvious that when I watched it, I thought, I watched the replay and I thought, how can you not call that? And so visions in my mind started going, is someone in his helmet going, yeah, don't call this, don't call it, don't call that, don't throw the flag. And I want to think, whoever it is, if there was any kind of fixing of a game, I would hope that it had nothing to do with the league or, I know the commissioner, he's a straight guy. But, could there be some undercurrent where they reach some referees or whatever? They're human. I guess it's possible. But here's the thing. So Derrick Henry doesn't play the last two drives when you have to win the game to try to set yourself up for an opportunity to go to the playoffs. I know Jim Harbaugh. I know Jim, we don't hang out much anymore or anything like that, but I know him for a long time. Back in his playing days, back in early coaching days, I used to attend his golf tournament, really great function up at Michigan. But anyway, and I know his brother. I've met his brother. I've been involved in some interviews that his brother was in. I cannot believe for a second that John Harbaugh would do anything that would obstruct or stop, fix anything. Right? He's not that guy. But the choice to not play Derrick Henry, I think, was a tremendous oversight in this situation with how Henry was playing last night. So that was weird to me. I'm going to call that weird. The running into the punter thing was blatant. And there was a pass interference call on the other side that they didn't call, which I thought was just like, what are you watching? The guy tackled the Ravens guy tackled the New England Patriots receiver when the ball was coming and then swatted it away. It was really very suspicious, actually. I can see why people would ask this question to me. But here's the one, believe it or not, more than all those other things that bothered the crap out of me. So Mike Tirico, who I've met and is a fine sportscaster, and Chris Collinsworth, who was a great player in his time and has a staple thing on television calling these games. When Derrick Henry didn't come out, there was a shot of him standing next to Lamar Jackson, the quarterback, who was hurt. They said he hurt his back. I watched the replay several times. I thought, where did he get hit in the back? But, he could have popped some, whatever it was. All right, so there was. But they showed Derrick standing next to him, and they said, Derrick's still on the sidelines. And here we go, it's going to be. And I thought, so you don't mention in the live announcement that one of the greatest running backs of our time, the stud who they traded for to have for the last couple of seasons to get them over the hump, the guy who's got 130 yards, the guy who's got a couple of TDs already that night, the guy that New England did not have an answer for, they couldn't stop him. You don't even mention, gosh, is Derrick hurt? Why is Derrick not playing? I wonder what's going on with Derrick. Sideline announcer, can we ask somebody why Derrick Henry's not in the game? They didn't. It wasn't like I was waiting to hear something. He's dinged his ankle, his knee's swollen, something, some story, something. But it wasn't even that there wasn't a story. They didn't even say anything about it. Now, as a sports guy, I'm sitting there and I'm calling this game with Chris Collinsworth or vice versa with me and Tirico, and I go, hey man, it's the second to the final and final drive of the game. Why haven't we seen Derrick Henry? What are they? I mean, I'm questioning Harbaugh. I'm wondering why this guy's not in the game. I'm wondering why your best running back, still right now, he's the best running back, and he proved it last night again. He's the Ravens' best option on the ground, and he's not even in the game. Why didn't the announcers talk about that? See what I mean? Like the layers of this whole, and why these conspiracy things get built up sometimes are in what's not said or what's not seen or office decisions that are made because of contracts. And you start going, why would you trade that guy? What? Like, are they trying to get a higher draft pick? Are they throwing the game? Are they, I'm not saying anything like that of John Harbaugh. I'm not. But I got to ask myself, why? If I could call Collinsworth right now, I'd say, why didn't you even mention that? What were you and Tirico thinking when you don't see Derrick Henry in the backfield? Because remember something, when you have Derrick Henry in the backfield, your pass game is even better because they have to stay, the linebackers have to stay close to the line of scrimmage to make sure that Derrick doesn't get the ball. When you do play action, which is a fake handoff and then drop back and throw the ball, when you do that, Derrick Henry is a legitimate threat to go 60 yards on you. You have to stay and cover him close first and then drop back into coverage, which opens up the lanes in the field and makes it easier for the passer to throw the ball. No mention of it. No mention. So, Pete, I want to say that, God, I hope that there aren't referees involved and certainly the league or anyone involved. There was always a lot of talk when I was doing sports more often of decisions that would be made based on the action in Vegas. So, hey, we've got 20 million on, the Ravens. Let's make sure, we got 600 million. We got $1 billion on a team because the fans just all bet one way. If we make a ton of money if the other team wins. Could they get a referee involved? Remember, it just takes one referee to throw a flag to negate a touchdown. And you can call holding in the NFL about every play. I mean, if you want to really look at it, did his hands go this? So, it's scary to think that, does someone have a radio headset in there that you hear, call holding, Like, late flag. Tommy's touchdown is negated. 15. Holding offense number 67. Number 67 last night in the game was flagged like 5 times, 6 times. They had his number, huh? So anyway, Pete, I can't honestly look you right in the eye right now and say, yeah, the NFL is fixed. I can't say that. And believe me, if you watch my show, you know that I'm not afraid to say stuff where I'm going to get into it right now. I hope not. But if it is, if there's anything going on, even a small group of men that are involved, let's expose it. Let's see what's going on. Let's find out where the orders are coming from. Anyway, thanks for the question, Pete. That was a quick turnaround last night. Let me also mention, by the way, I'm going to get into this Harry Houdini and the Epstein files episode. But I wanted to just say thanks for watching the show. Holidays are really close by. We're going to celebrate Christmas in a few days. And I just want to say, if you can subscribe and you can like the show, if you like the show and you like what you hear, and you share the show with other people and get the word out, and we can get the subscribers up, that would be really helpful. And trying to do some other things. I'd like to add some more cameras. I'd like to maybe bring some guests on. I could actually bring some cool people on the show. But we need to be a little more successful to do it. So I'm reaching out to you guys to say, man, share the show. Write your questions. Please write questions and make statements and hit social media with it. You know, we do a lot of shorts on the show, and they're very successful. So we've got a lot of traction going that way. We need to build up our followers. So I'd appreciate you. Merry Christmas. We're going to do one more show. I think we're going to do a show on Christmas Day, but we'll see. Anyway, so let me read. For many of you that I think demographically, I probably have an older viewing audience than the average podcaster because I'm getting old. You see the white Santa Claus beard? Come on now. Come on, you know you love that. You don't know who Harry Houdini was. Harry Houdini was before my time, but he was still a legend when I was a kid. He was the gold standard for illusionists, magicians, escape artists, whatever you wanted to call him. In 1912, Harry Houdini was lowered into New York's East River in a crate wrapped in chains. The crowd of spectators gasped. Reporters pulled out their stopwatches. Houdini was out in less than 1 minute. The resulting media blitz was just one of the spectacles that forever established Houdini as the world's greatest escape artist. Throughout his rise from Hungarian immigrant to international star, Houdini confronted our greatest fears: entrapment, pain, death, and emerged victorious. He was the premier showman of the century and a man haunted by doubts, obsessions, and his own mortality. So for me, when someone pulled a Houdini, you could say, hey, how did so-and-so's trial go? He pulled a Houdini, baby. He escaped. He got away with it. He did whatever. It was somebody was Houdini also, and this is where I'm going with this. And I've talked about this before. I've referred to Houdini because it was a common thing we said as kids. As soon as your head turns, just for that millisecond, the card gets switched in your hand, the keys slip out and they're cupped. Or, you've got a straitjacket on him. Under here is a key stuck in your mouth. And you got to figure out, get that one arm out, take the key. Whatever it is. It was a diversion. It was, let's blow off some small bomb and make everyone think something's going to happen. And then, 25 blocks north and west, they're robbing the bank. Terrorism is at high alert, blah, blah, whatever. You get what I'm saying. That was a Houdini to me. A Houdini was being able to take your... How does a magician make an elephant show up on stage? He poof, and he has a wand. And, So how does he really do that? How does an illusionist walk across from building to building on the 50th floor in Vegas, or whatever the hell it is, So I think it was his name, Chris Angel, There's something to it. There's some way they do it. No, they're not walking on thin air. Somehow a cable, somehow whatever it is. Halogen projection, I don't know. I'm not an illusionist. I know that I have an experience with a friend, David McGee, who's a brilliant illusionist. He's brilliant. And I remember the first time I ever met him, I was at Jim Apollody's car show in Florida, in Celebration, Florida. And I remember I walked in late to the performance. He said, let me get one of the celebrities here. Let me get, and he points at me, he goes, hey, Baldwin, would you come up? As I'm about to sit down, I hadn't even, my butt hadn't hit the seat yet. And he brought me up, and I said, I wasn't even sure what was going on. He said, do you see the library in the lobby of the hotel? I said, yeah, I noticed that, a little sitting area. There's nice books that you could look at, some classics, some interesting stuff. He said, I want you to go out there, take a piece of paper, and write on the paper, pick a word out of a book. Don't give me and, the, is, something stupid. Give me, a nice chunky word. And I want you to pick any book you want, any word you want, and I want you to write the word, and I want you to write the page number that you got the word, and put the book back. So I started thinking to myself, okay, well, I know a lot of different tricks, and some of them are amazing, and blah, blah, but how's he gonna get this one? I'm walking out there, I'm like, okay. So I walk out, 200 books, more, 400, and magazines and cool stuff. And so I go to, obviously, a thick book. And I'm looking around me, I'm looking for cameras. I'm hunched over it so you can't see. I got the piece of paper. When I got the piece of paper from the lady at the front desk, I said, can you give me a second piece of paper? Like I thought, is she in on it? Like, how's he gonna do this? How am I gonna write a word? And the page number, how can I do that? So I turn around and this tripped me out. I turn around, I take the page, I look down, I'm like looking around, I cup my hand over what I write. I write the word. And then I turn around and so anyway, I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story when I get back to the stage. I fold it like 4 times, I put it in my pocket. Like there's no way you could see through it. I did it in pencil. So I get back, I go just before I'm about to sit down again, did you finish? And I looked up, he's on stage. Like there's a big crowd. He's performing. And I said, yeah, I know I got it. He goes, okay, great, come on up. I said, all right. And he goes, all right, so what I want you to do is don't say the word to yourself, because then people will think that I can re-lip. Purse your lips together, and just like counting sheep when you sleep, I want you to watch the word roll over your head, in your head right now, going like a half moon. So I thought, okay. And he said, you thinking about the word? And I said, yeah. He goes, are you thinking about the word, or are you thinking about the image on the page? And I said, I'm kind of thinking of what's written on the page. He goes, okay. So he started to write one word, and I went, holy shit. Is he really going to do this? And so I did. I wrote COMM, and I was going to write communications. But I thought, I don't know, that's on a, so and I put 2 lines through. He goes, you wrote COMM with 2 lines through it. I think you were going to write community or communication. He goes, but you didn't finish the word. And I went, and I didn't give him anything. I didn't nod my head, right? He goes, it's okay. And then you wrote, just watch the word, the last word you wrote, the final full word you wrote. Watch it go over. You wrote COMM / irrationality, page 492. Holy crap. I reach into my pocket. He goes, you got the paper? I open it up, COMM / irrationality, 492. I was like, how do you do that? I mean, there's some tell or whatever. I mean, can he really just telepathically take that from me and figure that out? Here's why I'm bringing this up. Whatever it is, if there's a trick to it, or maybe he just has this gift. People have gifts. I know that for a fact. The slow pace of Epstein's disclosures set off new storm to batter Trump. Okay, so what does that mean? The Justice Department is denying accusations of a cover-up and of flouting a new law following its partial and extensively redacted release of the files on Jeffrey Epstein, in an ever-deepening political storm around President Donald Trump. I want to read just that part first. So, do you ever get the feeling that when you look at all the facts, I saw a thing about blowing the boats up, the drug boats from Venezuela, and I didn't realize this. Deepening threat, military presence. Maduro is, again, another story like that. We're like on the verge of going to war with Venezuela. I mean, do you really think anybody, including Maduro in Venezuela, is about to send a sub out to attack a U.S. naval ship? So I looked at this is what I mean about the Houdini thing. I looked at the legislation that allows the president to do this. It was written by Chuck Schumer. Schumer authored the legislation on the premise of, hey man, listen, these guys, if they're going to take drug ships and we can't stop this deadly, narcotics from coming into the country, but we're going to blow. We have the right, if we know, we suspect that these guys, we can blow them up. And he got it passed. Chuck Schumer got it passed and wrote it. Now you look at him, Shifty, Pelosi, the usual suspects, and they're all, Donald Trump, it's treason at the high seas, and he's going to create a condition of war. And again, this is that over here. Even when they're the ones who wrote the legislation, they're over here. They're over here getting you to look this way. For this whole distraction of no matter what this guy does, no matter what this administration does, he won. So he's in. They got him. They're not going to get him impeached. They're not going to any of this BS. They're going to continue to carpet bomb. Like Obama said, as long as you throw enough mud, enough doubt, enough stuff to the media, and you own enough media outlets and stuff, you can create enough, if your neighbor looks a little funky or he's a little off or whatever, and then you're like, I heard he had files filed against him. I heard he had charges. Pedophile stuff is what I heard. But I mean, I don't know. Pedophile. And you're going to say and finally you're going to walk by the guy and you don't want your kid near him. You don't. You hear enough buzz about it. You hear enough shit about the guy. You put enough out there that the telephone line, game where you tell one person, they tell another one. Then you're at the game and you put it out there. Then suddenly someone sees some desecration on his front lawn and says, well, the reason why is because the neighborhood doesn't want you around. We heard about the charges against you. And the guy goes, charges? I've never been charged with anything in my life. Well, there was that indiscretion that, what are you talking about? You can just make up whatever shit you want. Obama said it. He said, listen, all you got to do is keep piling it up. And so when we look at the way American politics are run now, it's no longer on the merit of what you can do, very little of it. It's about how badly you can carpet bomb someone. And I believe this at the heart of it. This Houdini method that's being used right now, this Epstein file thing, Trump was never on the island. Now let's try to make it that we have pictures of him around Miss USA pageants. Let's have pictures of him with young girls. There's none of the witnesses that were on the island. No one is saying that they ever saw Donald Trump there. They're saying a lot of other names, though. They're saying other former presidents, plural, that they know were on the island, that they saw. They had nicknames for them. There was stuff, it's bad. So I've said before, is the reason why the president or the administration, whatever, there's a few theories I have. I know the Democrats are doing the Houdini number. They are. It doesn't matter what this guy says or does. They've got this ball. They got the American people's attention. It's really one of the few things they have that they can say that has any momentum. He's stalling. He's this, he's that. I promise you, the legacy of certain people, if this list comes out with videotapes of the things they did, statements that people have said, communications between the people. Am I saying that Donald Trump is totally innocent of everything? Here's my one fear. I think Donald Trump is somebody that if he knew guys that he knew really well, he wouldn't want to see them fall. He wouldn't want to see their legacies and their careers ruined. So I'm sure there lies the loyalty that he has to people that have been friends and supporters. I'm sure he doesn't want to see their marriages destroyed and their children destroyed and their namesake as, possibly high ranking. But I think he will eventually have to get over that. And I think other people are going to get their hands on the material. But speaking of other people getting their hands on the material, again, hey, psst, huh? Oh, the second you did that, here's what happens. Something you didn't get to see. Something that you didn't get to see. That's the Democratic way right now. That's what the Democrats are doing. I'm not saying any Republicans aren't guilty of using that Houdini method. They are. It happens. It's just common knowledge the way politics goes. So when I hear something, I look at it and I go, come on. I need somebody that I know or somebody that's privy to some of this information to tell me that that's true, because I have a hard time. And so much of it, I just, I look at it all and I go, well, there's got to be something else to that. Well, that can't be just fact. Every once in a while, it is. It is what it is. You know, so-and-so walked in the room and so-and-so shot him, and that's it. The Houdini method is real, my friends. It is a distractionary. So in the case of what's going on now with Epstein and the files, we're fighting for future elections. So much of it, I mean, I believe the Republicans and Trump are really fighting for the way of this country right now, because if we allow all of the illegals in the country that were just bust in, they're going to forever change the Electoral College. So I know that you know was one of the goals that the Democrats, that the Biden administration had. I don't believe for 1 minute, and this sounds terrible, and I don't want God to be upset with me, but I don't think there's very many people in politics that care at all about what happened to those girls. I don't. You know, are there some? Yes. Yeah, I think there's some that are upset at the abuses and the sexual crimes and young women and boys underage and so on. Is anyone really going to fall for it? Is anyone going to take someone's head off for it? Or if let's give an example, if Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or whoever it is, if any of them are found, like videotaped, to be guilty of these types of crimes, are they going to prison? I don't know, man. You know, Jeffrey Epstein was in a cell on suicide watch, watching him, and the tape went off for 1 hour, as it does at the end of every week, and he killed himself on Rikers Island. This is what I mean. So let's, you know, we do security reasons, we tighten up the cameras, we do this, we do that, the shift of guys, and we didn't really hear anything, him choking, even though there wasn't anything for him to hang from besides his bedpost, which was 3 feet off the ground. I mean, it's just such bullshit. Such bullshit. Do you really, I mean, and I don't care. There's no reason to believe in it. Yeah, there is. Yeah. Epstein had film. Epstein had film on some of the most powerful political figures and royalty and kings and queens and, princes and guys that had so much dough that if it got out, empires would be ruined. Saudi money, big business moguls. I mean, this was a playground for the very, very crazy sexual deviants. Yeah, no, he wasn't gonna get killed by anybody, and he wasn't gonna commit suicide. He's in Beirut or some kind of abstract, obscure country, living well. Transferred $500 and something million 3 or 4 days before he died into a private account, offshore. Come on. If he was dead because someone killed him, those tapes would have started coming out, or they would have sold them. What do you think on the open market, a video of a high-ranking politician, a former president? What would that go for if you wanted to take it to, Fox and Rupert Murdoch? What would they pay for it? And you own the rights to it and the movie rights to it, and wow, yeah. Jeffrey Epstein's not dead. I don't believe for 1 minute there's any footage or even horrific. Again, so I've met Harvey Weinstein. I've been to functions that he's at. I've been to functions that a number of guys that ended up being bad people or accused of bad things or criminally charged. I met and was at functions with Bill Cosby. Does that mean if I was at a function with Bill Cosby or pictures were taken, I have pictures of myself with Cosby. Does that mean that I'm a sexual deviant and that I okayed or had anything to do with the terrible things that Bill Cosby was supposed to have done? No, of course not. In fact, at the time, I was on TV and I was at a function and I was like, wow, that's Bill Cosby. And I walked over and I wanted my picture taken with him. So when you're a socialite in New York and the Vanderbilts are there or the, whoever, the Rockefellers, and you take a picture of them, does that mean you condone anything they do? And you could run into certain socialites and certain people that love to be out. Like my wife and I will go and we see this, I won't say the person's name, but he's like a prince from a European country. And we see this other couple, and we see they're at a lot of those Oscar night kind of things. And I take my picture with him every time. If a scandal breaks out, does that mean over the years in LA, the picture you're gonna take of me with him and my beautiful wife and blah, blah, blah? No, of course it doesn't. So, these ridiculous associations when he has his hand on his shoulder or they're leaning in taking a picture, like they're best buddies, you take those all the time. You get the agent or the person or the lawyer or the that wants to take the picture with you. They watch your show, for nostalgia reasons. I've gotten older now, white beard, 65 years old. I still walk into those things, and people that are pretty famous, will say, "Hey man, can we grab a shot?" And it kind of makes you feel good that they still remember you, even though I don't do the same level movies all the time anymore, and as many movies. I do my own material, and I do my show. But I do my show to try to explain to you and to try to fight off the Houdini method, the Houdini stuff that goes on. There are entire networks that are owned by businesses that back different parties, as we know, and that's a fact. When USAID came out, I was so dumbfounded to see Reuters collected like $20 or $30 million, I think it was reported, every year from USAID. And I thought, how does Reuters get money through the Biden administration as a stipend of any kind to be neutral? Why would that be? So again, and I'm not saying I know Reuters has done anything illegal. I'm just saying that you got to look at that and you got to say, what the hell is going on? What is going on here? And while they're going like this and getting us all to look at how terrible Trump is and what a travesty his administration and what he's doing to this country, I'm seeing that inflation is coming down, prices are coming down, we may get a huge tax check and change the structure of our taxes for good because of how much money we're collecting through tariffs from other nations. And this is year one. So also I want to put this out there, and I'm going to close after this thought. So, is there a role in this that Trump and his administration are playing in the files being slow played? And I'll tell you what I thought. So I expressed already the possibility. Are there people on that list that Trump doesn't want to, just destroy? Colleagues, allies, friends, supporters, whatever. That's a possibility. I don't know him that well. We've spoken a few times. I worked for him. I flew home with him years ago before his presidencies. But look at how far people will go to try to get and ensure that the Democrats win the next election. They know if J.D. Vance wins, and he's, I think, the logical electoral college winner for the Republicans, he has the best probability and chance. So how far would they go? Would they flood the border with illegals and transport them strategically to different key counties in those 7 states that were the toss-up states? Because it's going to be a similar thing again. And are they going to run Kamala against him? God, I hope so. I really do. But J.D. Vance against Kamala Harris, I'd love to see that. But how effective will the Electoral College be with all of these people smuggled into the country, into those key areas that would change the election? So that's how far we suspect the Democrats were willing to go, and that's what Biden's plan was. Are the Trump administration people slow playing the Epstein files because it's such a powder keg? Why would you want to expose that now? Why would you want that to come out right now? Wouldn't this be better to play this out for another year, or well into the second year? Then, the full, the Senate votes and blah, 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 and they do the full release. And when you do the full release, you go, oh my God. And it's much worse. I don't think either side is going to walk away from this unscathed. But what if it's way worse for the Democrats? And this is part of, yeah, man, we don't want to do this now. And then have, a Senate investigative committee, and they're going to try to fast that up, get it out of the way, bring that out of the public eye, and move forward to get ready for 2028 election. No. If it were me, I would hold on to this, and I would want this to come out late next year, like this time next year. Then by that, it soaks in, everyone gets crazy, they feeding frenzy, even the pro-Democrat news outlets, if they have what I think they have, it's gonna be a feeding frenzy. The American public won't even watch your show anymore if you're not gonna report negatively about this. So this is what I said about the NFL thing. How do you not, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, talk about the fact that Derrick Henry wasn't in the game the last 2 drives? How do you not talk about that? Same thing here. How do you not talk about they have footage of some of the most famous politicians, some of the famous athletes, some of those, famous actors, singers, doing crazy stuff, or references to them. Hey, did you see so-and-so last night? Oh my God, and emails and text messages. They got all that. They got all that. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting as long as I can to time it out with the election. Is that possible? It's a jungle out there, man. Is that right? No. I mean, again, if we're gonna say we all play by the rules and we all do the right thing, but which is total bullshit anyway. This is all. This is how they do it, man. This is how they do it. Over here, look over here. You didn't for a second? For a second, you didn't look over there? And that second you look over there, bam, the Houdini method, man. They bombard us with shit. Most of this is such bullshit. They have rooms full of people that sit there all day clocking what Trump says, clocking how he looks, getting the worst pictures they can of him, getting everything. Same thing they did with Biden. Look at Joe Biden. And then the Democrats did the worst and stupidest thing in American history for politics. They put him out there in a debate with Trump, and his mouth was stuck open, the poor guy. Forget about what you think about Joe Biden. Forget about what a shitty president he was, terrible. Vice president under Obama. It was Obama as president while Biden was president anyway. But think about it. He had a 47-year career. He did some pretty bad stuff to the country and left us in a condition. But does that make him, how much did he know? How much was really his doing in that presidency? Or was it all Barack and the boys and they just auto-penned this poor slob? And they the fact that people are posting up, do you miss us now? I saw a thing on I think it was Instagram. It was a Joe Biden and Barack Obama sitting next to each other, holding a sign up, do you miss us now? And I thought, no. No, I don't miss that. So, but heads are going to roll, my friends. Justice will be served. And listen, let me make sure I tell you this again. I don't think you're going to see anything that Trump did inappropriately when it comes to Epstein. But if he did, lop his fucking head off just like the rest of them. Lop it off, because then I bought into what I've been telling everybody, and I've lost relationships with family members over this presidency. Take them all down. Take every one of them down. And if he didn't, then let's clear his name and let's take out the ones that did. Listen, I don't need the FBI knocking at my door right now, but I want you to imagine that the Republicans, the regular Republican guys, I want you to imagine they did as the Democrats do. I want you to imagine that politicians who have suggested that Trump be killed, that Butler, they tried to kill him, down at the golf course, another guy. They failed a couple of others that haven't really made the press that big, but plans that the FBI and the Fed and different investigatory agencies have uncovered plans to kill him. I never saw a senator or a person say that they wished someone would die or, too bad they missed, which is now the legendary line of Rob Reiner. Now, Rob was an awful thing that happened to him and his wife, and for it to be their son, the ultimate betrayal. But Rob Reiner said, for sure, he hated Trump. He hated him. So look at that statement. Look at what kind of energy that puts out when you're a public figure to say you hate someone. As I told you I couldn't stand some of the policies that Joe Biden put out there. I couldn't stand some of the things that he did to the country. I don't hate Joe Biden. I don't hate Joe Biden. I think you have to really know someone. I think you have to use that word hate. And hate's a terrible word. The Bible doesn't like the word hate. So the department started to make public files from a huge trove of information on the accused sex trafficker to meet Friday's deadline. The files contained the stunning revelation that there are 1,200 people identified as victims or their relatives. They include materials from dozens of hard drives and old CDs and computers. Senior officials insist their caution is motivated by the need to avoid identifying Epstein's victims. I'm not sure who those senior officials are. I've tried to research that a little bit more. I think that's complete bullshit. I don't think that... Listen, if senior officials even heard murmurs that this was going on, if they knew about it, and I think a lot of people on the Hill in Washington knew about this problem, I think that there were certainly, if presidents and secretaries of state and giant moguls, then a lot of people knew about what was going on in Epstein Island. And I think there were several people that went to Epstein's Island, and then when they realized, like I said, if I get invited to a party in New York and they go, yeah, it's this guy Jeffrey Epstein, he owns that giant apartment on the corner of, he's got an island and planes, and it's going to be like, yeah, you walk in and there's, the biggest NBA stars, some of the biggest Hollywood stars. You go. I'm a 30-year-old actor trying to get on TV and get in films. And there's these shakers and movers. There's Donald Trump, and you go. Real estate guys, contractors, business guys, investors, all the different faith-based agents, listen, there are agencies and there are golf courses in LA. If you're not Jewish, you don't join. There's, if you're not this, you don't join. If you're not that. So they were taking care, they're meeting and potting with their own. I get it. You go to this party, this Epstein guy's having a couple of things. You get invited a few times. You go. What was his name? Dr. Buss on the Lakers. And he would go, hey, Jerry Buss has asked if you want to come. And I'm like, Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers, asked about, my agent calls me and goes, yeah, Jerry Buss's office called. They have 2 tickets for you to go to the game. And then the after party. Are you kidding me? Charlie Sheen, me, whoever it was, boom, we were at the game, sitting courtside, living large, man. Are you kidding me? I don't know what Dr. Buss, not that he ever did anything bad, but I don't know what he does, at the party in a back room, or I don't know what's going on after hours when we leave. P. Diddy, this one, that one. Some of these people are freaks. Some of these people do these terrible things. I'm not there for that. But do I go to the party when I hear Jeffrey Epstein, the Sultan of Brunei wants to send his jet and pick you and 2 of your friends up and bring you to a party? Like, yeah, let's go, man, Brunei. So, I don't think anyone, sadly, anyone that's involved in these scandals cared at all about those women, those young girls, or those young boys, because they wouldn't have let it happen. If I had ever gone to that island and saw what was going on, I don't think I would have kept my mouth shut. And I don't know if that means I would have been dead. I don't know if that, so they would have sent somebody. It seems like it's a very risky time to voice your opinion. The Candace Owens of the world and Meg and different people that report controversial stuff. You got to look at what happened to Kirk, I mean, the systematic timbre of how, when you watch the moves, the signals, the touching the thing, the collar blowing up, sliding off the table, grabbing the thing, giving it to the other guy, putting it in his pocket. And next thing they're cementing, hang on a second now, from a former television homicide detective. They're cementing over and covering any evidence within days. This is a homicide investigation. I still have not heard the names of any of the security guys, the names of the company the security guys worked for, an interview with any of them, questions any of them. They're all back in Israel now. They're gone. And yet we have a kid with his thumb in his ass in a cell that we believe fired the lone shot, jumped off a roof with no gun, took the gun and left it in the thatch of trees 200 yards away from, it doesn't get any better than this. Etched the side of the shells. He just told the whole story. 15 minutes after the shot was fired, he's photographed in a fast food restaurant with his hands in his pocket with a different outfit on. This is the Houdini shit I'm talking about, man. And if they stick it down your throat and you have enough confidence in them that they're telling the truth, you start to believe it. Remember, I'll never forget watching a U.S. president say, if you throw enough doubt, if you throw enough smear, enough mud if you just plaster it out there and you keep throwing it, after a while it starts to stick. And people start to buy it. People start talking about it. They're retweeting, and there's teams that work on this on social media, and so there's algorithm. I believe that sometimes, do you think a lot of people on the left side want my show to be successful? Do you think? No, they don't want it to be successful. They would do anything not to get another 10 million people listening and thinking about what I put out there. So it's sad. We're going to have to fight it, trudge it uphill slowly, but we're getting there. You know, another thing I want to just mention, and I do mention it every other show or so. A lot of people, I've gotten a lot of criticism about praying at the end of my show. I pray at the end of every show. I have other family members that are involved in podcasts, that have their own podcasts or are part of a team, a unit. And this is another one of those things that differentiates me from my family. There's a lot of stuff that goes out on social media, but the shows aren't they don't do things like openly pray, and they interview people that are very questionable, that are part of the Hollywood machine. I want you to know, I try to tell you what I think, what I'm able to uncover. Do I miss anything? Are there other sides to it? Yeah, there are. You got to prove it. You know, I grew up in New York, which was the Empire State. Missouri's the show me state. Show me. If I'm wrong, show me. I'll go on and debate with people on other shows. I was on Patrick Bet David, and we talked about some different things that shed a little light to him about what I think. Soon it'll be Rogan, it'll be Candace, it'll be Megan, because I keep telling you things that are going to happen, and they keep happening, just like I said they were going to. So there's some big stuff coming up. I'm gonna do like the administration does. I'm gonna slow play it, just a little bit. Lord God, thank you for your protective hand as we come very close to the day that we celebrate your birth, the birth of Jesus Christ. Amen, Lord, we love you so much, and we appreciate your protection. And Lord, I ask you, most of all, Lord, I ask you as we come close to the greatest day in the year, your birthday, give healing hands and peace to those women and those boys that were abused. More importantly than anyone, than the justice that is coming, the senators and congressmen and different people that are about to get exposed. Lord, I ask you to heal those young children who are now adults, who were persecuted on that island and persecuted through the Epstein situation. We ask you, Lord, for your healing hand and your grace. In your name we pray, amen. So I always think about the children. I'm a father. I have, a young son, and I have teenage daughters and older kids. But I think about those young kids, how defenseless. I have a lot of theories on what this is all about, these missing children and stuff, but that'll be another episode. God bless you. I'm going to pop another show out right before Christmas. Amen and praise God.